How Pakistan got divided. Pakistan, as a country, dealt with the most destructive event in its history. It was really traumatizing when it ended up losing East Pakistan. Pakistan suffered a great loss. There are many reasons to why Pakistan was divided, and some of them are notable too, but a lot of people misunderstand them. First reason could be the distance between East Pakistan and West Pakistan geographically. When we are investigating the reasons for the detachment of East Pakistan, it's really difficult to ignore the fact that there used to be a huge distance of about 1600 kilometers in between the both parts of the country. India was the antagonist and it was isolating both these areas. Another reason could be the difference in languages. It was really obvious that there was a huge conflict regarding the topic of language. There was even a language movement. In the language movement, the people of East Pakistan, the Bengalis, were demanding to make Bangla the national language of Pakistan. But they were told by Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah that Bangla could be the language for their province for the time being, while Urdu will be the national. So, for a short time, this conflict was not discussed. But after he passed away, there were a lot of riots and protests. Another reason could be the difference in populations. There was an obvious difference between East Pakistan and West Pakistan in the population. West Pakistan had 44% of the population, while the East Pakistan consisted of the rest 56% of the population. Other than that, both East and West had diverse and unique cultures. This diversity could be the reason for the lack of interaction and communication between East and West Pakistan. Another reason could be the dominance and grouping. People of the West Pakistan had a huge control on the jobs of military, civil services, and government, while the Hindus of the East Pakistan had authority over the economy. Now, this clearly shows us how the non Muslim groups of people who had a biased opinion towards India controlled East Pakistan's social system. It was very obvious that the Muslims of East Bengal were facing a lot of injustice. They used to believe that the non Muslims of the subcontinent were the cause of their economic problems, such as the Hindu landowners. And they were expecting that after the partition of the subcontinent, their economic situation would get better eventually, and they'll be able to utilize their land's wealth. But unfortunately, that did not happen. When Pakistan was made in the beginning, in its early years, it was thought that Muslim League was perfect. This thought and belief was proven wrong after the language issue was not resolved and Bengali was not made the national language. As a result, Maulana Bhashani and Ataur Rahman founded the Awami League and they strived to make Bengali the national language of Pakistan. Muslim League was not giving enough attention to the people's complaints and concerns, so as a result, its ability was reduced to none in the eyes of the public. The self-centered politicians of Muslim League kept fighting over the desire of the seats. Awami League became very famous in East Pakistan, while it had better reputation in East Pakistan as compared to Muslim League. The Hindu dominance in the East Pakistan would also be the reason of the separation. There was about 14% of the Hindu population in East Pakistan. Its economy was fully dominated by this Hindi community. They had a higher level of education as compared to those local Bengali Muslims. They even had control over the press and the media. There was a delay throughout the procedure of forming the constitution, and through this, it resulted in the misconceptions and issues between the citizens of East Pakistan and West Pakistan. Since the population of East Pakistan was about 56%, they wanted their proper rights and representation in the country. The international communities also contributed in the separation of East and West Pakistan. The Soviet Union and America were totally in support of Pakistan's collapse. America had promised to help Pakistan, but their actions did not match their words. The one unit policy. In the West Pakistan, there was an upper class community and they were constantly looking for ways to put down Bengalis. Their goal was achieved through one unit policy. According to one unit policy, East Bengal's 56% population was reduced to 50%. East Pakistan's political situation could also be the reason why Pakistan was divided. After Muslim League did not win the elections because of their bad reputation, the United Front won. But the politicians of United Front were extremely greedy. So those people would make efforts to obtain the favor of Hindu representatives. Because of this, they started following politics that was only fulfilling the desires and wants of the Hindu community. Because of the given reasons, Pakistan was divided. Now I'll be giving a gist of the India Pakistan War in 1971. Bangladesh got freedom. It used to be known as East Pakistan. This happened when India successfully won against Pakistan in the war. It was beginning when Pakistan conducted air missile attacks on 11 Indian Air Force bases. As a response to Pakistan's actions, India took Pakistan's large amount of land captive. The war came to an end when Pakistani army, who were in thousands, and their chief, General Amir, gave in. General Amir ended up signing the Pakistani Instrument of Surrender. Through this, Bangladesh was independent. India had helped Bangladesh because Bangladesh and the Bengalis over there were struggling for their rights for a very long time, ever since the language movement began. This was a brief summary on how Pakistan divided. Now, I will give detail on two main events, the language movement and the Agartala conspiracy. They are important in my opinion because through these both, the idea of division was initiated. There were a lot of unfortunate events that led to the separation of East Pakistan and West Pakistan. It all began with the language movement. The language movement occurred in Dhaka, East Pakistan, which is now known as Bangladesh. The Bengalis over there were protesting, and their demand was to make Bengali the national language of Pakistan instead of Urdu. These protesters were heading towards the home of the Chief Minister of East Bengal. His name was Khwaja Nazimuddin. The coins and stamps of Pakistan were printed in Urdu, and that is what disappointed the Bengalis a lot. The police over there tried to stop the protest, and soon after, police started taking really strict action against the protesters. Many protesters got hurt and injured during this. In 1948, there was a confusion that whether the national language of Pakistan would be Urdu or Bengali. Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah decided to visit Dhaka in order to converse with citizens on this conflict. All the people kept wondering if Bangla will end up becoming the national language of Pakistan or would it not. Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was in support of Urdu to be the national language of Pakistan. He stated that let me make it very clear to you. There should be no doubt that the state language of Pakistan is going to be Urdu and no other language. He also said that no nation could make progress until and unless it had a single national language. The people of Bengal really admired and respected Quaid-e-Azam. So after hearing his speech, this issue of language was temporarily not discussed. After Quaid-e-Azam passed away and the issue of language was not discussed and not resolved, so the Bengalis were very upset. The Bengali leaders decided to form a separate political party on 23rd of June 1949. This party was named by the Bengalis and it was called the Awami Muslim League, which was later changed to only Awami League. The main objective of this party was to strive to make Bangla the national language of Pakistan. Khwaja Nazimuddin, who was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, announced in his speech that the national language of Pakistan should be Urdu. And after this was announced, Awami League was extremely furious because Khwaja Nazimuddin himself was a Bengali. After this announcement, protests started to begin in the East Pakistan, and Awami League was leading these protests. Students of Dhaka University protested. They were forcing vehicles to stop, and this caused the roads to be blocked. The students attacked the cars with stones, the ones that won't stop. The police tried to stop the students, so in return they got violent. Since the students were attacking them with stones, many policemen suffered injuries, so in return, the police started firing, through which five students unfortunately lost their lives. The news was spread all over the place that five students had sacrificed their lives for the Bangla language. After this, even more protests started to begin. And due to all of this, Dhaka University had to be closed down in order to make the situation better. Provincial elections were held after 2 years. The Muslim League was competing with Awami League. Awami League formed an electoral alliance with three other political parties, and this alliance was known as United Front. East Bengal asked for two things: autonomy and Bengali to get recognition as the national language of Pakistan. United Front won, and this made Abul Qasim Fazlul Haq the chief minister. Bengalis were finally getting what they were asking for, and it was decided that Bengali and Urdu both will be recognized as the national languages. But the demand for autonomy to East Bengal was not being fulfilled. Because of this, a lot of arguments and problems were created between Bengalis and non Bengalis. Through this, riots were held, and due to this, about 400 people passed away and thousands of them were injured. The image of United Front was ruined because of all these protests and issues. Since the image of United Front was ruined, a lot of people started believing that Chief Minister Fazlul Haq was betraying them. They all started believing that he wanted separation of Bengal from Pakistan. He even disagreed with the statement, but no one believed him, and he eventually was removed from his position. Along with that, a lot of other leaders were imprisoned. Amongst them, there was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman too. While he was in prison, he decided that he was going to work on the freedom and liberation of Bengal. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman eventually became the president of Awami League, and he had a lot of power and a lot of influence over Pakistan's future. This is because East Pakistan had a larger population as compared to West Pakistan. After this, a lot of incidents became the cause of division of Pakistan, but this was how it initiated. Agartala is located in India and it is only a few kilometers away from the border of East Bengal. In Agartala, a historic and mysterious meeting was held. Mujibur Rahman, the leader of Awami League, attended the meeting along with a few Indian officers. The main topic of discussion during the meeting was the separation of East Pakistan from West Pakistan. This planning is recognized as the Agartala conspiracy. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman denied being a part of this conspiracy, saying he did not believe in them and that the population of East Pakistan does not demand for separation. What they want are the proper rights that they deserve in a nation. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was striving for autonomy for the East Pakistan. Awami League had presented 6 points for this, but General Ayub Khan thought that these 6 points were hinting that they want separation of East Pakistan from West Pakistan. So, these were the two events that initiated the idea of division. The event of division of Pakistan was indeed unfortunate and sad, but it was interesting to learn about. Thank you.